Dictators wear different faces of evil. Saddam Hussein was the bloodthirsty kind. Stalin ruled through sheer terror. But what is to be made of someone who didn't wield a gun, swung a sword, or raise a weapon himself? Someone who ruled with charm in public, starved millions to death in private. Someone who didn't need to pull a trigger, because his system did it for him. In the 1990s, a catastrophic famine struck North Korea. As many as 2 million were killed. People were thrown into camps. A ruthless dictator who killed without touching, destroyed without being seen. While the ordinary lined up for ration, he lived a charmed life in luxury villas, drove around in a fleet of Mercedes, shutting shops, clearing roads, and ordering residents to stay indoors. Where ox carts still croaked down dirt roads, he cruised in elite convoys. As citizens bargained for second-hand bicycles, he built basketball courts when the public had to share simple rice. Chefs were sent abroad to get caviar for him.
We must envelop our environment in a dense fog to prevent our enemies from learning anything about us.
Welcome to The Dictator. On this episode, we take you inside the North Korean regime and its second supreme leader, Kim Jong-il, the father of the current leader, Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-il wanted North Korea shrouded by fog. Today, we walk through that fog. The eldest son of North Korea's founder, a dear leader to many, a disaster for millions of others. His tenure is hard to track down. His truth is hard to piece together. They come in fragments. Accounts from defectors, testimonies of former prisoners, dissidents who fled and dared to speak, rare intelligence reports, or through leaked excerpts.
In the whole society, tens of thousands of families were expelled from Pyongyang city and were sent to prison camps. So it's a huge, the nationwide, the purge. I have to leave this system, and not only leave, but I have to, the fight to topple, this system for the sake of my family and also for the sake of my colleagues.
Torture went to extreme levels. People were beaten with clubs until their tooth broke. At times, their bodies would go numb. Yet, the torture continued. Prisoners lost half their body weight within months. Kim Jong-il's tyranny had to be inferred through whispers, but some outlandish claims persist to date. They can't be demystified. After all, this is a country virtually cut off from the world. The narrative around Kim Jong-il was mythical, so much so that his exact birth date and even his birthplace both remain contested. Kim Jong-il's biography says he was born in 1942 on North Korea's highest mountain, a sacred spot called Mount Paektu. The date was the 16th of February. Historical evidence, however, points to something else. Kim was born in 1941. Analysts say it was in Soviet Siberia, but state media propagated another version. A double rainbow was spotted. A bright star apparently lit the sky. An iceberg in the pond on Mount Paektu cracked. Pyongyang's made it look supernatural. It was a story to astound, to instill awe among the ordinary. Kim Jong-il couldn't be just an ordinary heir. He had to be special. After all, he was the firstborn, the heir apparent to North Korea's founding father. So his legitimacy had to be cemented. His road to succession was far from straight. It was the early 1970s. Kim Il-sung had already ruled for over 2 decades. Inside the regime, there were whispers. Who would become the next supreme leader? Kim Jong-il didn't look the part. His father was revered as near God. Kim Il-sung relied on a cult of personality. The founding father who built a nation from scratch. He wasn't just seen as a leader, he was the country's history. He was its destiny. Kim Il-sung fought in the Korean War, but his firstborn, he never fired a shot on the battleground, didn't bleed on the front lines. North Korea was led by the Father Eternal. But the son, in comparison, looked ephemeral. There were doubts. The powerful generals had apprehensions. Could such a figure really command? What if the mantle of God ends up in the hands of a spoiled child? Kim Jong-il was raised in a bubble. He lost his mother early.
The United Nations garrison takes strong action to subdue the rioting Reds on Koje Island. Still defiant, the prisoners hurl stones and abuse at Allied
In
troops.
1950, when the Korean War broke out, he was sent to China. 3 years later, he returned. His lifestyle was extravagant. He had a penchant for gourmet food. It said Kim Jong-il had a food inspection team, just to cater to him. The rice that he ate, each and every grain that touched his lips, all of it was examined, to ensure it was the perfect shape and the perfect color. Anything else, or even slightly different, those were thrown away. And it wasn't just rice. His lobsters were hand-selected. He was seen more as a soft figure, just a flickering light in his father's shadow. In 1973, Kim took charge of the Propaganda and Agitation Department, a faction of the ruling Korean Workers' Party. Its main function was to shape ideas, to teach citizens how to view the leadership. It controlled culture. It controlled films. Kim Jong-il could now take the reins over what people saw. He saw a chance to prove his ability. Not through any battlefield glory. Movies were his weapon of choice.
It is a powerful ideological weapon for the revolution and construction.
It's said he had a collection of over 20,000 films, countless video cassettes. He was a fan of James Bond and Rambo. This cinephilia reached dangerous levels. In 1978, South Korean star Choi Eun-hee was abducted in Hong Kong. Months later, it was the turn of her husband. They are brought to Pyongyang and forced to make movies for Kim Jong-il. Through films, he spread his propaganda. He amplified his father's image, and in ways, he improved his own image as well, reinforced his father's divinity, and, quietly, his own inevitability. By glorifying Kim Il-sung, he glorified himself. Loyalty to the father became loyalty to the son. The system bent to him long before he officially ruled. He did not seize power by confrontation. He built it in the minds of millions. And when the time came, the crown was already waiting. It was in 1994 when Kim Jong-il inherited power, after his ailing father died. But he was leading the country well before that. In 1987, a Korean Airlines flight was bombed. 115 people on board died. It was revealed Kim Jong-il ordered that. A few years earlier, in 1983, he was linked to a bombing in Myanmar, then called Burma. Kim's alleged target was South Korean President Chun Doo-hwan. The explosion did occur in Rangoon, now Yangon. 21 people were killed, including 17 South Koreans. But President Chun survived, only because he arrived 5 minutes late. While he was a terrifying figure at home, Kim Jong-il was parodied in America. He was short and round, and wore elevator shoes to look tall. George W. Bush once called him a pygmy, and Washington opposed a nuclear North Korea. But in 2006, Pyongyang crossed that line. It tested its first nuclear bomb. Kim transformed North Korea into a nuclear state, expanded its ballistic missile arsenal. But Kim Jong-il didn't just desire power. He wanted to control reality. Soon, the world realized he was no ordinary dictator. He spoke rarely, appeared even less before the public. Yet, every square in North Korea displayed his image. No one knew how tall he was, or even how much he actually weighed. He ruled a nation that was asleep, in a trance, cheering on command and crying on cue. When leaders gave interviews, he gave nothing. No exclusive sit-downs, just state footage. Him visiting military factories, or simply smiling at children. Every clip was cut, edited, and scripted. The man knew the power of the lens. He wrote his own role. On one side, Kim Jong-il was a womanizer, a heavy drinker, and a movie buff. He loved Russian dancing girls, lived off lobster and cognac, and stocked a wine cellar of 10,000 bottles. But North Korea's propaganda told a different story. It claimed he piloted fighter jets, and even shot 11 holes in one the first time he played golf. Kim built North Korea on fiction, but the reality was closer to hell. An estimated 200,000 people were locked in his camps. Many never made it out alive. Christians, in particular, were singled out. His regime committed crimes against humanity. Camps became active factories of suffering. Inside them, horrors unfolded. Guards ripped out fingernails with pliers, poured chili-infused water up people's noses. Inmates were given impossible work. When they failed, their food rations were cut.
I was sent to a coal mine for the first time because I lost against a South Korean in the Beijing Asian Games. Then I was sent to work in a boiler room just because I talked back to the deputy chairman of the squad. I was thinking, why should I win? If I win a medal, it belongs to North Korea, not me. So I lost on purpose and looked for ways to escape.
Even outside camps, hunger prevailed. Families had to strip bark off trees to survive. People revealed sleep deprivation methods, which came to be known as pigeon torture. Victims were tied by their arms so that they could neither sit nor stand. The pain crushed their chests, but Kim Jong-il got away with it all.
I escaped just because I was starving and going through hardships, and I knew there is a different world outside, and I was very curious about that. However, I didn't realize how terrible my life was in the camp.
Scattered among his litany of abuses were some diplomatic wins. The biggest one came on June 15, 2000. Kim Jong-il hosted then South Korean President Kim Dae-jung in Pyongyang, the first ever summit between the two Koreas. In that moment, his image shifted, from a secretive dictator to a warm host. Soon after, Pyongyang welcomed Madeleine Albright, the 64th U.S. Secretary of State, and even Russian President Vladimir Putin. Some say the odds were stacked against Kim Jong-il. He ruled a country fresh out of the Cold War. It was believed his reign would end soon. But he prevailed. He died in 2011.
한없이 자유로운 음성으로 당부하시는 듯한 오평사가 떨어져 살 수 없는 나여인 온 세계가 우러러보게 하라. 목표하는 맹세로
and left behind a starving nation. It's said that the famine in the mid-1990s was state-induced. It could have been avoided, but Kim Jong-il clung to a military-first policy, where the scarce resources were allocated for his army. Even when international food aid arrived, much of it was diverted to the military. Yet Kim Jong-il was adorned with the title of Dear Leader. It was a legacy, nothing short of madness. His rule reads like a dystopian novel, with things so strange that it's difficult to believe, except for the North Koreans, who lived and died in this hellscape.